Hey my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Hannah. I do videos here on the YouTube. I hope you were doing absolutely brilliantly. So today's video, as you can see from the title, is another review. My previous review was the Fenty concealer, powder, all of that new stuff. So if you want to see that, please check out my channel. But if you're here for the Morphe review, then you've come to the right place. So I'm today going to be reviewing Morphe's new foundation and Morphe's new concealer. So if you want to see my thoughts on what I think on the concealer and the foundation, then stay tuned. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a few things about the products. I have actually already worn this foundation, so I can actually, and the concealer, so I can actually tell you what my thoughts are. Also, I'll give you a quick little thoughts on the powder. However, I didn't get the powder, but I have tried the powder. I did pick up the new Morphe Fluidity foundation and concealer. I'm going to pop them onto my face, tell you about the products, show you how I feel about them, and yeah, all of my final thoughts on the products will be at the end, as I always do, so please stay tuned. I have worn this foundation for multiple hours. It is now late evening and I have already worn this foundation. I took it off so I can actually show you how I apply it and how I think it's best to apply for you guys, because I know there has been everywhere, like this new launch has been not given the light that it should be getting. People are saying things about the shade range, which I'll have a couple of thoughts on in a second, and about how it works and how it's blended on into the skin. Now, I must say, for everyone out there watching this, everyone's skin is different. Your skin is different to my skin, and my skin is different to yours, your sisters, your brothers, your mums and your dads. So everyone's skin will work different with foundations. I find that many people don't like foundations that I like, and I don't like many foundations that other people like. But as I'll say, my skin is normal to combination. I'm a light to medium skin tone, I should say. I'm more neutral with a slight yellow undertone, but I do mix. I don't know why, but for some reason I do have a mix. I have slight peachy tones, slight warm tones, slight neutral tones, so I'm a bit of everything. I did pick up the foundation in the shade F2.90, so F2.90 as you can see, and in the concealer C2.25. So I would prefer like actual names, but then I've realised the amount of like the quantity of the concealers and the foundations, it just would have been too difficult. So yeah, this launch they've called it the Fluidity foundation and concealer. Now I think they both claim the same things but for different areas. So we're going to go into the foundation. This is what the packaging of the foundation looks like. It's just in a box. I actually like that they've done the box. I think it's a bit more sophisticated. This does retail for £16, which I'm not going to lie to you. Look, I actually think that's a little bit expensive, especially for Morphe. Like, they do their 35 eyeshadow palette for £23, and you're giving this foundation, which is 30 millilitres, which is the average, for 16. It's a bit of a push, but of course you can use the 10% discount. I use the code EDGES, which is the Jackie Aina one, so I was happy with that. I can't moan because Morphe stuff is amazing and their prices are really, really good. But I wouldn't say that this new launch is in the affordable-ish section. It's more in range in the middle. So yeah, that's just my personal thoughts. If you think it's affordable, then you think it's affordable. I just think it's pushing it a little bit. The Fluidity foundation is a full coverage foundation, 24-hour long wear foundation, sweat-proof, transfer resistant, water resistant, free of oils, fragrance and parabens, and great for all skin types. I'm going to be completely honest and say straight away, this is not transfer resistant. Literally like just done that to my nose and blew my nose, and all of the foundation on my nose came off, and I'd had it on for about 2-3 hours, so I knew that it was the foundation. It wasn't my skin. It wasn't that it wasn't set. It was set with powder. The powder came off and the foundation, so it isn't transfer resistant, unless that's what it means, I'm guessing, because it did transfer. The only bad thing I'll say about the foundation range, yes, it has 60 shades, which is amazing. However, even I tried to not look at reviews, but I just saw people's comments on basically saying that the shade range, there was grey tones, yellow tones, orange tones, like really ashy tones, and I don't know where that's coming from. Grey should not be a tone. I don't know if that's just me, but when I heard Jacqueline Hill talk about the grey tones, I'm like, but why is there a grey tone? I don't know, maybe some people have that, but I'm just sure that no, that's just a no-go for me. Yeah, even when I saw this in person, like with me normally, I can sort of look at a foundation and go, yeah, I can see that's sort of going to be my shade. But when I looked at the foundations, I looked at 4 foundations, right? I looked at F20, I looked at F2.20, I looked at F2.60, and then I looked at F2.90, and I looked at the one above 2.20, which was like 1.65, something like that, I can't remember. and they all looked the same. The only time I ever saw a shade difference was when with the lighter shade, the medium shade and the dark shade. Between then, it was literally, don't get me wrong, I know shades can be changed due to undertones and whatnot, but about 4 or 5 of them looked exactly the same. Looked exactly the same. And I was like, I didn't know what I was going for. No way did I think I was going to be a 290. I thought I was going to be a 220 or a 260. And then she gave me 290 and it was really good. But all of them looked the same. So that's the only thing I'm just a bit like confused about. When there needs to be a variation, there needs to be, I can actually see a gradient. It wasn't a gradient, it was just loads of shades with all grey and ashy undertones that was light, medium, dark. There wasn't transition of to medium dark, there wasn't dark deep or deep dark. It was literally just. But yeah, I've talked too much now, but I thought, do you know what, I'll tell you this, just in case you go in and you really don't know. I would honestly 100% advise you getting a shade match, because you want to see how these shades perform on your skin. Even if it's not the right shade, you can go off of that. This is what the foundation looks like. It does look really orange. Do you see that? Like a really peachy orange. Now that's not my skin. So before I start, I am going to put on the Nip and Fab Hydrate Dragon's Blood Fix Hyaluronic Shot. The reason why I actually feel with this foundation, just with her first impressions, you really got to moisturize. Like that's the only thing, because this is matte. I've seen on other people and I've heard that it's actually really matte, but when I went in there, my skin was really moisturized, really plumped, and she used the Iconic Fixing Spray, the lightest one on my face, the Iconic London Fixing Spray, and that just gave me a boost of hydration. So I'm just going to go in with this just to make sure that everything is hydrated, because I think if you have any dry patches or you've got dry skin, you're going to want to either exfoliate those areas or really intensely moisturize, just to make sure that everything is looking smooth, looking balanced. Don't worry about if you have spots or anything like that. Just make sure your dry, flaky texture is down to a minimal. That's the only thing I can advise. Otherwise, you're not really going to like this foundation. I think if you've got oily skin, probably will do you justice. If you've got normal skin, it will probably do you justice. But just aiming towards dry skin people, the best advice I would give you is actually hydrate. Okay, so this right here, wow, you can actually see a difference. This right here is the shade 290 in the foundation. For reference, I am a MAC NC25 to NC27. This is really peachy. I don't know if you can tell, like it's really orangey peachy. Like, what is going on? Do you see the difference on my hand? Swatch it next to the Conceal and Define, which is in F5. This is a perfect match for my skin. So an F5 is absolutely perfect. I've got more of a neutral tone. So excuse my swatches. This right here is the Conceal and Define by Makeup Revolution in F5, and this is F90 in the Morphe shade. Now we swatched quite a few. I think we did swatch quite a few, and none of them were any, like, they were all too orange. Now this was the most neutral shade possible, so that was what we were just going for. This is gonna have to work. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I'm actually going to go in and use the Morphe M439. She used this on me today and she said this is advised for the Morphe foundation because of the coverage you can get from it and how it's really, really buildable. I'm just going to quickly wet my brush with the Morphe setting spray. I've always advised this. Always like wet your brush with setting spray just a tad. So I'm going to go in with this with the Morphe M439, and then when I need to, when I've finished buffing it in, I am going to go in with a Morphe sponge and make sure it's non-streaky. So she did say try not to put too much on because it's not needed because of how full coverage it is. Okay, so we have buffed in this side of the face. I don't know if you can see, like, I've already worn this before. It's definitely a full coverage foundation. You can see that. The shade match is fairly decent. It's a different undertone to my skin, but it can fit. We can also like change it with my concealer and bronzing and all of that jazz. It definitely feels like drier than this side, obviously, because this has foundation. It's definitely a matte foundation. I'm not usually a matte foundation fan, but it's all right. Like, it's actually quite nice. It blended in really nicely. It's not like attached to any dry patches. However, I feel it will probably separate around my nose area. Like, I could just tell, you know, even if you don't have any like texture or things like that, I can just tell if you have a lot of texture, you have flaky areas. Like, I tend to get a little bit flaky around my nose and around my mouth area. You can see, compared to that side, it will show that. So unless you've really plumped your skin and made sure you've put on like 10,000 moisturisers, then it's definitely matte foundation. I've had to blend this down my neck, but I'll just give you a little that's how it looks. It looks quite nice. It looks quite nice. I tried to not put it too much under my under eye because she did say because of how matte it is, it can sort of make your under eye look a bit dry. So yeah, this is the shade 290, as I've said, on my ear. But yeah, it's definitely a different undertone. I'm going to be completely honest. Even for me, I'm just not going to find a shade that even looks like the Concealing Define or any other shade. There is no shade out there, and probably in the foundation line, that looks like NC25. And if you do find one, then let me know. But yeah, it's just, you're not going to find one that's going to be exactly like that. It's a completely different undertone. Bear in mind, my neck and my arms are really, really darker, so it could probably work because your face is always lighter. So I'm just going to quickly blend this side in, and then we will move on to concealer. So far, around the cracks of my nose, it is not separating but clinging to really dry patches. I'm moving on to the concealer, which retails for £9. This is the Fluidity Concealer, full coverage concealer. It says it's an instant full-on concealing power, blendable, multitasking formula, free of fragrance and parabens. Oh, quick note, this smells like the MAC foundation. If you know what the MAC Studio Fix foundation smells like, it smells exactly like the MAC foundation. This has oxidized a slight bit. Like, I look quite, what do you think? Do you think it suits me? Do you think it not? It's definitely different. Do you see what I'm saying? It's definitely different. Like, they could have gone with a lighter shade, but hey ho. Woman that matched me to this concealer, she did say to me that this concealer, it has a good colour payoff, so you only want to use a tiny bit. If you go in with too much, it starts to separate, it moves around and whatnot. But like me, I always like to put on a lot of concealer anyway, so putting on a little bit of concealer is a little bit hard for me. It's a little bit dark, like, I don't know, like this, when she put it on, it looked light. I might have to line it a little bit with a different concealer because I do like that brightening effect, but it's not terrible. That's the shade C2.25 or C2.25, yeah, C2.25. See, I'm just going to put a little bit of this underneath my under eye. It's not a terrible shade, just I would want something a little bit brighter next time, but it was probably my fault because she did ask if I wanted a brighter shade. Okay, so you guys saw the amount of concealer that I put on. It's covering, like, I definitely feel it's full coverage because the vein has gone. I actually quite like this concealer. Now, I know there's been loads of problems. I know how it feels a couple of hours after. I don't know if you can see, my pores are not so visible. Trust me, if my pores were visible, you'd be able to see them on camera. So the fact that you probably can't is a good thing. It's really, really easy to blend. You don't need a lot. Like, don't go and lather it on your face because you don't need that at all. But yeah, I do actually like it. My face just feels very matte and I don't like that, so I'm going to have to use a lot of setting spray, like more of a hydrating setting spray. I'm glad I put the hydration shot on before. If I didn't, I would have been in a bit of a predicament because it would have definitely like clung to dry patches and so forth. It does blend in really quickly. Like, it does crease pretty quickly. So you obviously have to set. I've got crease under eyes anyway, but you do have to set pretty quickly. It's not like dry down where it can't move. It's not drying, but it is a dry formula in a sense. It's like definitely a matte formula. Like, the concealer doesn't feel wet. Do you understand what I'm saying? It just feels, it doesn't feel dry or anything like that, but it just feels like really matte. So yeah, do you know what? This could probably last really long because of how matte it is. It's definitely the mattest foundation. Like, it's got no shine to it whatsoever. The little bit of shine there is from the concealer where I'm just blending it in. But there is no shine to this foundation whatsoever. Like, literally no shine. So yeah, prepare for that. If you're oily, like if you're intensely oily, then this is going to be amazing for you. But if you're not, I don't know. Like, I have normal combination skin. So okay, so I'm back. I finished the rest of my face. I've had a long day, so actually onto my thoughts. I actually quite like it. I think if you look at my face, I actually quite like it. This highlighter, people, oh my god, if you haven't tried these, you need to. Now, I've never been a fan of like cream highlighters before, but these two, this is not sponsored, these two here from Iconic London, these are the new multi-glows. This is in Halo and in Warm Honey. Mix them both together, it's gorgeous. Like, it sits so nicely onto on top of the foundation, and a little bit of powder. I did have the Huda Beauty powder underneath. I didn't get the actual powder, the new face powder. I tried it when I was there. The lady put it on me because I thought, you know what, I'll try it, see if I wanted to buy it. I like it. I was in filter 6, I think it was. I don't know how many shades they have. I think they might have 16 shades, I don't know. I'll put it down in the link in below anyway. But the reason why I didn't get it was because if I look now, I was wondering whether it was the foundation or, sorry, I thought it was whether it was the concealer or the powder that just wasn't setting because it didn't set. And now I've put the Huda Beauty powder on. This is set so nicely. It's not really creasing at all, like at all. It looks really, really nice underneath the under eye. So I thought if I do get it, I'm wasting my money in a sense, because I think it's £15, 12 to £15, I can't actually remember. So yeah, it did set the rest of my face. It was nice, however it just wasn't really great for under eye, and I don't really set the rest of my face. I normally use like a mineralized powder or a bronzer or something like that to set my face. So I didn't want to set my face after I put cream contour on anything like that, so I just didn't gravitate towards getting it. But it's good face powder, just not underneath the eyes. The concealer works really, really nice with an actual setting powder. Like the Huda Beauty one seems to be working really, really nicely. I haven't tried it with any other because this is like my first time actually wearing this, well, second time, but you know what I mean. So yeah, the Huda Beauty powder looked really, really nice with it. I didn't set anywhere else around my face, wasn't needed to because of how matte I am. I do look a little bit more hydrated because this setting spray goes really, really nice with it. It gives it a little bit more of an oomph. It doesn't feel so drying now, but it is like there is foundation on my fingers. But yeah, this, quickly just saying, this highlighter dries down to sort of like a powdery finish and it doesn't budge, but it's beautiful. And the lips I'm wearing is the Morphe liquid lipstick in the shade Virgin. It is a little bit of a drying one, but I do like it. So yeah, my final thoughts was I don't want to say, I'm going to be the one that's actually the positive one. I actually think this is a really, really nice foundation. It probably wouldn't be my go-to because I'm not really a matte girl, but if I was going out one day and I didn't want my foundation to like not move, but didn't want it to be oily, or I was going to an event and I wanted to mix this could possibly be a really, really good foundation to mix with. It looks really, really nice on, like, don't get me wrong, it looks really, really nice on. So yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say other than that if you have dry skin if you have any dry areas around your nose or the cracks of your nose, or like around your chin area or anything like that on your forehead, people get a lot of dry patches, I wouldn't go towards it. I would say mix it. Like you can afford to mix it because it's £16. You could want to go a little bit cheaper, but you can afford to mix. Well, I can at least. So yeah, if you have oily skin, I would actually 100% recommend you getting this. I don't think it's a bad foundation at all. It's full coverage, 100%. 24-hour long wear, not tried that yet. I would never try that. I do think this could, because of how it feels, I actually do think this could last a pretty long time. You might get some breakage around the nose, or you find that your foundation removes itself throughout the day, because if people are touching you, if you're going to an event and people are hugging you, your foundation's definitely going to come off. Does smell like the MAC foundation, so does the concealer. The concealer is pretty good. I think out of both of them I actually just prefer the foundation. I think for £9 the concealer's done quite well. I think if it was just with the face powder, it doesn't work well together, I personally feel, but I use the Huda Beauty setting powder in the shade Sugar Cookie, and it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty good. It's worked really nicely. I've not had to set anywhere else other than my under eyes. If you don't set it, it creases, but most concealers do that. Have I got anything else to say? No, really. Creams sit really nicely on top of the foundation. It works really well with bronzers, powders, all of that jazz. So yeah, I think overall, I quite like it. If you have any questions, please feel free to just comment down in the description, comment down in the comment section. I always get that wrong. So yeah, I'll be happy to reply to you if you have any questions. Also, and you don't really want to comment down there, just DM me on Instagram. It's at hanstluce. I'm quite impressed. Like, I don't know whether I want to be. I don't want to be that one person that's just like bragging, but I'm not. I generally think it's not amazing, but it's good. It's definitely full coverage, like I've said, but I've technically got like sort of clearish skin anyway, so most foundations look pretty good on me. Not in a big-headed way, but yeah. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this foundation review. If you have any questions, please feel free to just comment in the comment section. I will be happy to reply to you. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a massive thumbs up, and if you're new here, I would love if you could subscribe to my channel. I love all of you. I shall see you in my next video. Bye.